words, we do give up some sovereignty.
Chris, throughout all his statements, talked about the European Union, the EU, as some autonomous, independent organisation, totally separate from us, making this law and then imposing it on us. We make this law. We, the member states, make this law. We have a member of the European Commission who draws up these proposals in the first place. We have British members of the European Parliament who reflect the public's interest in that legislative system.
But they can
there are
override
British.
us.
There are
They
no,
override
hold
us.
on.
Of
There are
course they
British.
can.
There are British judges in the European Court of Justice.
Sorry, you're not
it's
denying,
not something.
Peter Mandelson,
No,
you're
the
not
point
denying
I'm
they
making.
can override. We have 13% of the
No,
vote.
I'm sorry.
They've got 87%.
We, like every other member state, are part of this collective process of taking decisions, formulating legislation, pursuing policies, and yes, in many cases, they are a compromise. It's not simply Britain.
Well, can I give a practical example?
It's not simply Britain standing aside in splendid isolation, agreeing with itself. That's the easiest thing in the world. But where there are things that we need to pursue and legislation that we need to introduce on an EU-wide basis, then we are part of that system. Who do you think got rid of all the roaming charges for mobile telephones?
Can I give you an example?
The European Union did.
Quick one about
We
Chris Grayling,
benefit
and then
from
we'll
it.
go to the panel.
Quick example of why that's not wholly true. North Sea oil exploration. After the Gulf of Mexico oil disaster, the Commission decided that it needed to step in and tighten safety standards, even though we had already in the North Sea the best safety standards in the world. So it rewrote the safety practices. As a result of that, North Sea oil companies are now having to redo the way they work, even though what they were doing was safe in the first place. We couldn't stop that from happening because we are one of only 2 or 3 out of 28 member states.
And are those companies
who have an interest in
companies complaining about our membership of the EU? Are they on the whole saying we should come out for that?
Well, they're complaining very directly about the European Union legislation.
But I think most of them would rather be in there.
Evan, Chris has a long-standing track record in Bête Noire about health and safety legislation, which is drawn up in Europe, which he would like to see repealed. What I would say to you, Chris, is that as a cabinet minister, if you felt so deeply and passionately about a policy that is being formulated or law that's being drawn up in Brussels, then you as a minister have the right to go there. My complaint about you and some of your colleagues is that you're so Europhobic that oftentimes you do not bother to go to Brussels. You don't bother to turn up at the meetings.
Untrue.
No,
I have represented the United Kingdom at European Council meetings
and other
for
times
5 years,
and other times
going to every council meeting that I've been invited
and other
to,
times
and
you
have
not.
never
I realise
felt
why.
at those
I
meetings.
realise why you're being so defensive about this. It's because you well know that many people in Whitehall believe that you hate the European Union so much that you won't bat for Britain by turning up at the meetings in Brussels.
I have been to every council meeting that I've been invited to.
And those others
for
you've
5
sent
years,
junior ministers
for
to
5 years as a minister, I have never sent a junior minister, but I have never either felt properly able to represent the United Kingdom's interest because I was consistently and always outvoted.
Right. And so much so you sometimes didn't turn up.
Pause there, please.
That's not
a
true.
Factual question. We'll establish that one
Absolutely not
after.
true.